Everybody says they want crispy chicken skin, but most folks have no idea how to get it. It's not magic, it's method. Let's make it happen. I'm Silly Bubba, and by the end of this video, I guarantee if you follow these 5 steps, you will know how to make the most earth-shattering crispy chicken thighs you've ever had. At this point, I'm just prepping the chicken, even the weird-looking ones. I'm cutting off some of the excess skin, but not going crazy. And now on to our first step, dry the skin. Listen, if your chicken skin's wet, you're already losing. That's like trying to crisp up a wet towel. Moisture is the enemy of crunch. You can season it all day long, but if that skin is still damp, all that heat's going to do is steam it. And nobody's dreaming about steamed chicken skin. So use your paper towels, pat it dry, and that's the first step in getting that bite through, glass cracking crunch that makes your neighbors look over the fence. I'm also making sure to stretch the chicken skin so it covers as much of the thighs as possible. And that's going to help the process work even better. And as you see, you may have to come back several times to make sure the chicken remains dry and is behaving. Now I'm flipping the thighs over so that they're meat side up for the next part of our process. Step 2, I'm applying a light coat of kosher salt to the meat side of the chicken thighs. I'm using kosher salt because those big, flaky crystals pull moisture out nice and slow. That lets the meat season itself from the inside out. Table salt's a little too harsh for this, but this is like a spa treatment for the chicken. Let it sit, let it work, and you'll taste the difference. Now, as I flip these thighs over, I want you to pay attention because this next step is epic. Here's the dream team for crispy skin, kosher salt and baking powder. The salt pulls that moisture out so the skin can dry, and the baking powder changes the pH just enough to make that skin brown up and bubble like fried chicken. They work together like Batman and Robin. One dries, one crisps. You skip it, you're going to leave all kinds of crunch on the table. So I start as you saw those measurements, 3 tablespoons of kosher salt, 3 teaspoons of baking powder. I mix it up to incorporate all of the ingredients together, and then I lightly coat the chicken. This is going to do wonders to make your chicken so crispy. They work synergistically together. Again, this is what helps to dry out the skin, to give you that crunch, that crispiness, and I'm going to just lightly pat it in and prepare it for the refrigerator. These chicken thighs, even the crazy looking one that you saw, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator overnight so that it has a chance to brine and dry and get ready for tomorrow. This next step will blow your mind. So now we're on to the next day, and as you can see, that chicken skin is tight, it's dry, but I guarantee you it is full of flavor. So let's get to the next step of the process. Now, step number 4. This right here, duck fat spray, that's my secret weapon for crispy skin. It melts way cleaner than oil and it has 0 water in it. So instead of softening the skin, it actually helps push the fat out from underneath. That tightens everything up and gives you that glass cracking finish that just sings when you bite it. Now at this point, seasoning is up to you, but I'm a pepper forward kind of guy. So I like to use a light coat of 16 mesh black pepper. I love the color that it gives chicken, and I feel it combines very well with the next rub that I'm going to use, which will add more of a savory tint to my meat. I pat it in just to make sure it's adhering well, and of course with the duck fat, that's going to help it as well. But I'm going to use Cosmo Q's Dirty Bird Hot. This is an awesome rub. It's not too sweet, but it's very savory, and it works quite well with chicken. A word of caution, though, that I'd like to add, just make sure whatever rub you are using the day of your cook, make sure it doesn't have too much salt in it. Because remember, we already brine the chicken, and we don't want the chicken to get too salty. These chicken thighs are looking awfully happy, and so am I. So let's move on to the next step of the process. All right, step number 5. And yes, it's time to crank the heat. For this method, I prefer my Weber Kettle. I'm going to run this kettle with the bottom and top vents wide open. I want you to use a high heat setup like the 2-zone method by banking your coals to one side, or my personal favorite, the Volcano. It's like the Vortex's rowdy cousin. The Volcano blasts convective heat, giving you hot air spinning around those thighs like a turbo dryer. And that's what's going to tighten the skin and render that fat underneath without burning it. You can even drop a wood chunk right over the Volcano and it'll light just like sitting on the coals and throw that perfect kiss of smoke. And if you're curious about some of the equipment I use, like the torch you just saw or the Volcano, feel free to check out my link in my storefront, which is in my bio. With the Volcano now screaming hot, it was time to get the chicken thighs on. So with this Volcano and the convective heat, It is ideal for rendering fat under chicken skin. The skin started to render beautifully. So I just put the lid on and let it cook. After about 30 minutes, you can already see some browning happening with the skin. It's starting to tighten up. It's taking on a little bit of smoke, even despite the high heat. And as we progressed throughout the cook, it got even more pronounced that this chicken was going to be crispy. This is at about 1 hour, 15 minutes, and guess what? It's time to take these beautiful birds off the grill and start eating. Wait a minute, I think something's calling me. Can you hear that? I can hear that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's crispy skin. That's what you want. Let's see how it bites, though. That crunch almost short-circuited my microphone. And it's juicy, too. Remember the steps. Dry the skin, salt it right, hit it with baking powder, lock it in with duck fat, and crank that high heat. That's your crispy chicken roadmap right there. And follow for more barbecue tips. And if you want one-on-one help, join the Smokers Guild. These tips are just the tip of the iceberg. Check out my bio and let's make it happen.